What up, though, everybody? We got another episode of the Pop Culture 223 podcast. Let me see if I'm on the board. I'm gonna hit the clap too. Okay, look, I'm running the boards today, so y'all gotta bear with me. Essence, please bear with me. My guest today. I'm doing a lot of things, doing a lot of things together. My homeboy Bear is out today, a little sick, under the weather, so I'm running the ones and twos today. So look, like I said, this is the Pop Culture Podcast. We here to educate the uneducated, train and give games to the ones that need it. Basically we be doing a lot, talking about a lot. We got a lot of different guests from a lot of different backgrounds. Like, we're not just solely talk about firearms, gun training, education, but we also try to get education about other aspects of the culture that's popping in the culture. So that's why we're here today. Essence, I met Essence. My guest today is Essence, and she's gonna introduce herself. I'm gonna just give her a little background how I met her. I was at a New Era event. It was called Hood to Hood. So I'm gonna be doing that all day because I'm new.
I'm here for it.
I'm new. I met Essence at a New Era event called Hood to Hood. It was a great event. That was my first one. I keep telling Zeke that I need to get out there to one. It's just scheduling sometimes, man. So I was just like, look, I'm gonna go do it. I had that week off, and I did it. So I met Essence out there, and then we were passing out. Hood to Hood event was passing out, helping out the community. We was on and helped me. It was between 6 Mile and like the Lodge area. We was passing out toys to the kids, walking up blocks, and we was also passing out resource package for the community people. The kids, whoever needed resources about rent, just any kind of resource to help you. What was all in that packet? You had
It was for rent, just knowing where to go to get resources for help. It could be like community help as far as like water, rent, resources. For instance, I was there, talking about life insurance. I know we also had a few politicians there as well, just kind of introducing themselves to the community so that people were aware of who they are. So just really just making, and just informing people about who New Era Detroit was too. Because a lot of people know, but then there's also still a really big crowd of people who aren't really sure exactly what.
That's crazy because if you're on social media, any platform, social media, they everywhere, especially in the city. But the algorithm card can be like, no, don't know who these people are, but they so out there all the time, like they break through that barrier, like they constant. And the great thing about them, they feats, or they are what they call it, grassroots kind of company, organization that they're boots on the ground, and that's what's always needed, opposed to just talking about it. They definitely are being about it. So yeah, that's how I met Essence, and I seen that she was passing out. We was knocking on doors, walking through the hood. She had her daughter with her. That was a great thing, so she can pass that, see that engagement from her mom, and just out there helping the community. And I asked her what she does and what she was doing, and I was like, oh, I think people want to know about that, hear about that, and then we can kick it about that. So, Essence, just tell us where you from, what you do, and all that, and then we'll just, get into some of the meat and potatoes. But also, and I asked her, I said, hey, Essence, do you have a firearm? She was like, no, I need to get one. I said, great. You need to come on, you need to come on here so we can,
I'm gonna have to get strapped.
You have to get strapped now. I like that. She said, I got to get strapped now. So,
For sure.
I like, that's a great conversation. She might want to ask me some questions or about her, purchasing her first firearms, where to go to get training, all that. So that's how we kind of connect in the Pop Culture 2 to 3 with what she got going. But like I said, it's all about the culture. So she's here for the culture. So go just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Alrighty, thanks so much. So my name is Essence, also known as Coach E. In the realm of what I do, Black Girls Trade Too. I'm the owner, mentor, and educator of Trading in Color. And essentially what that is a trading educational platform where I'm educating people of color about the opportunity to grow their wealth and be able to understand the financial markets. Prior to that, I was in the mortgage industry for over 10 years. So just always in finance in some kind of way, dealing with numbers. I was actually from Detroit. I grew up on the west side of Detroit. up into my 11th grade year, and then I moved to Troy.
What
this
side
year.
of Detroit?
The west side.
What's that?
Joy Road, Southfield area.
Oh, she Joy
Yeah.
Road. Okay.
Cody High School, you know.
Comments. Go
Comments,
comments.
right? Go comments. And then I moved out with my mom to kind of help her at the time because she was having some medical issues. So I moved out to Troy with my mother, and then I ended up graduating at a high school out there. Nonetheless, I have 2 kids. My daughter is 15. I have a little guy that's 6.
That's what I'm talking about, little guy. Where was he at?
He was with his dad that day,
Okay,
and
okay.
he would have really like drugged me down. I love my son, but if it's not an iPad, these kids they get bored real fast.
Oh man.
So yeah, he but other events that I have, he's there because there's food involved and other kids and stuff like that. So he usually shows up.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Now you just mentioned this. Your mom is from your dad is from where?
My father is or was Nigerian. He just recently passed away last December.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. Unexpectedly. However, nonetheless, I'm actually planning to go there hopefully by the beginning of next year to actually see his burial site. So.
Oh, you going to Nigeria?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He's been there since 2015. I mean, he's from there, but he went back in 2015. And so, yeah, I was actually supposed to go there for my 30th birthday, but it was COVID. And so the Nigerian country is ruled by the British, and so they weren't allowing us the way to be able to get there, they wouldn't allow us to come. Unfortunately, if I did go, I would have to be in quarantine for 7 days before I could even get to my father's village.
Okay.
And so, you're talking a week to get there. It takes 2 days, almost 2 days to get there, and then you have to sit for 7 days before I could even get to him. So I ended up not going, and then unfortunately, he did pass away.
Okay.
Last year. But
how was that dynamic in the house?
With my father?
Yeah.
I actually wasn't raised with my father. Well, on a day-to-day, so to speak. He lived in Detroit when he was here, and then he moved to Boston. So most of the times I would see him, he would drive to Detroit to pick us up for Christmas every year.
Mm-hmm.
And then he, like I said, moved back to Nigeria in 2015. But one of the things that I probably took from my dad the most, he was really, really big on education, like huge on education. My father knew 7 languages. And he always told us, make sure you learn a language. And I actually went to college and I tried. Well, first off, I went to college for like a semester. I tried the language thing. It just wasn't for me. However, that's how when I got into trading, I remember going to my dad and saying, hey, trading is a different language. It's not, any of the languages that but trading is actually a language of its own.
It's the language of the universe. Zeros
Absolutely.
and ones.
Absolutely. I'm like, it's the biggest language of it all,
Right.
But, that a lot of people don't know how to speak. And so just kind of taking on like what my father wanted, education, and teaching other people. And again, for me, that was my way of, not just for him, right, but for myself as well. Yeah, as a tribute to my dad to educate people, teaching them a new language, essentially.
Yeah. So I guess this another side. Well, ain't a sidebar, just conversation how it goes. My whole family on my mother's side were like teachers. Aunties are teachers. We all went to school. My 2 aunties were teachers. My sister was a teacher. Pioneer, she teached all around. Played the piano, all that. So we had a teaching background. So they were like, you should be a teacher. I didn't want to be a teacher, but I like educating people. I like sharing information. I'm not a gatekeeper, as so to speak. So if I got it, you got it. And sometimes that can be to the point of, I want to say detriment to myself. You know what I'm saying? It just, I might have spent, especially in the world I'm in now, where educate myself on firearm safety and training, learning how to use different platforms. I spent money to do it. Big money to do it, years of doing it, training hours. So, some other homies, they charge, and it's great. I try to give game freely, but like I said, I can also, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like one of those.
I know exactly
what
you're saying.
One of those situations, because I played Little League football for the Westside Broncos. So after my tenure, did all that, went to college, played all that stuff. I came back and I jumped into coaching. So coaching, I was educating the kids on what I knew from the college game, and just gave them all the most, gave them all the gain I could. And they were like, that was free, that was voluntary. So I guess you know what I'm saying. I get that from my parents too, as far as helping and educating.
I love that.
That's thing. So look, check this out. This show is we got to talk about our sponsors and our affiliates that help out the show, and one of the big ones is Firearm Legals Protection. So once you get your firearm and we get you squared away, Firearm Legal Protection is the insurance for firearms and CPL holders. So
Mm.
if you are willing to protect yourself, they are willing to protect you. So if and they also protect you if you use anything outside, any kind of. You got to protect yourself in this in the situation. They will protect you. So definitely look them up. I got some more paperwork. I mean, some cards to give you. So they're definitely affiliate of the show. So if you out there, anybody got a CPL license or carry a firearm, it is a good thing to have some type of insurance. And if you got to get one, look up Firearms Legal Protection. They're a good one, definitely. Also, we got some new things popping on the show. I didn't even bring it. You got to excuse me. I was under the weather. Little sinuses kicking in. I forgot to bring my leisure carry holster. Been talking with them. Leisure carry. It's a holster setup. It's called the COB, clip on to the belt mechanism, and you can kind of wear it. And I think it's a good thing, idea for women, because so you can wear jogging pants and kind of like the summer shorts without a belt loops. It's more of a drawstring type of setup. So you just clip it onto your pants and your shorts or your sweatpants, and you can carry your firearm with it. I should have brought it. I forgot to do it. But there are definitely supporting the channel, supporting the podcast. So if you ever looking for something to wear with your gear outside in the summer, sweatpants, shorts, look them up. They're called leisurecarry.com. And I think I'm gonna put it in the descriptions. We get a little kickback. They help out the channel, so I put that all in the descriptions. You can check it out. And definitely look them up. Also, we are talking with in essence, we can talk to this after this. It's called Fully Loaded Clips. My man Daryl has a website, and we're gonna be running content and stuff through that website. So he's looking for everything that's educational to the culture and for the culture. So it's not. I know Fully Loaded Clips give you like, oh, it's talking about. It's just the name, but he's looking for anything that's educational to the culture, right? So from everything you're doing, from everything I'm doing, that's what they're looking for.
Love that.
Bloggers, information, video, content, anything and everything. So that's
Fully Loaded Clips.
It's called Fully Loaded Clips. I will send you the page. We got our first show on there. I just uploaded it the other day. Once I get done with this show would definitely be on there. So
awesome.
Yeah, so that's what we're doing. We trying to get it. So it's kind of like if like social media world shut down, we have a spot where we can always put up content and people can come see us.
You know what
I'm saying? If they censor us and say, oh, we don't want this no more with the mega social media platforms, we got a place where we can share our content and share our information for the culture. So
like that.
So you like what we doing? Please like and subscribe. Hit that like button and subscribe button. Please share it. We out here. We recognize you, so please recognize us. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of the game. So Essence, what do you do? Like I know, like I said, I met you. You told me you sell insurance. You kind of multifaceted. You're a mom. You out here hustling. You're an entrepreneur. You're a black woman. All kind of stuff. So just let's get into who you is.
Thank you. Well, first I want to say I was in corporate America for a really long time, and whether you're a believer of God or not, I truly am, and I believe that God orchestrated my life exactly the way that He did so that I would be an entrepreneur. I think that even though I didn't know that I was going to be an entrepreneur, I just knew that I wasn't really good at working for someone, and I don't mean that in a way of like I don't respect
like Dame Dash.
Not like Dame Dash.
Like Dame Dash.
But
you a sucker if you work somebody else.
Like wait,
on, bro.
But you know what? Is that I did really, really well in corporate. I think that what happened what did happen is that I had a discrimination. It all kind of came down to me being an intellectual black woman in the role that I was in and being interviewed. My counterparts were not a person of color, or white people, essentially, right, that I was interviewing with. and they manipulated my interview. That's the long and short of it is. And this is like a Fortune 500 company that I was almost the face of. So it's like God wanted me to be uncomfortable in a place that I felt the safest. He knew that if he didn't make me uncomfortable, that I wouldn't have moved. And so in corporate America, I was constantly climbing the ladder, making more money, but I didn't have the time that I wanted to be able to be a mom. And that's where I mean by like working for someone. It wasn't even so much the authority or anything like that. It was more like, okay, I'm doing great, but I want to be a mother too, right? And corporate doesn't really make room, especially in I was in sales for a really long time. And you have people gunning for you. I have kids, so I'm not I'm a top performer, but having to keep that up consistently or all the time kind of became a bit much. And then I lost my brother in 2016
Mm.
um, while I was at work, literally chasing. We were doing a March Madness thing, and I remember my mom kept saying like, "Hey, Essence, we got to get to Tennessee. We got to get to your brother." And I said, "Well, Ma, we're in the middle of March Madness. I gotta, we were literally there's people who have been with the company for 20 years and had never been in the finals. My team was literally in the finals, and it was down to like the last couple days.
So March Madness meaning what? In
In
your
sales, so it's in sales. So they essentially took teams and put the teams up against each other, kind of like basketball, but it wasn't basketball. It was actually what we do. We were loan officers, so
okay.
we help people get money
This
to buy
sound
homes.
was this Quicken Loans?
Rocket Mortgage now, yeah,
Yeah.
mm-hmm,
Okay.
yeah. I was with them, and we won. But then, like right after that, my brother was killed, and I remember my mom kept asking me to leave, and what that did for me was I realized like you got to stop chasing the money because just in that split second it was just like we got to get there, we got to get there. I'm like, Mom, we're going, we're going, we're going, and then that happened, and that was probably like the beginning of me wanting to step away from corporate because you know it kind of came down to where they were kind of telling me what was better, what was best for me. It was always like, well, coach, they call me coach. Well, coach, you're so good at this and this and that. And it's like, well, but I don't want to do that. Right. I want to do what makes me happy. And I think that in especially being a black woman in corporate, your counterparts are all these men that who essentially make money off of you too. Right. The more you do, the more money they make. But for me, it was no longer about after my brother passed, it was no longer about the money. I wanted to do something I enjoyed. Um,
Yeah, that can be a switch.
mhm.
He he got in a car accident or
No, he was murdered.
I I,
Um,
I didn't I was gonna have you say I
No,
didn't
no,
want
it's okay. No,
I
no, no,
was just it was
it's
kind of a I
yeah,
know I
wrong
can be.
place, wrong time kind of thing. Saw some things, obviously they didn't want him to see, and so they chased his car down. And
Did he get justice?
I don't consider it justice because the guy got like I don't know 25 years, but only 7 of it was for my brother's murder. Um, and so there were a few people that were involved, but the top guy essentially didn't get the time that we felt he deserved. That part of my family is a praying family. I thank God for them because I don't think that you know I had the capacity at that time to be forgive. You don't want to forgive. They were looking at the death penalty. And our family had to make that decision, and so we put it on our matriarch of the family.
The
And
elders.
and of course, she's like, I don't have the power to take life. I can give life as a woman, but I don't have the ability to take it. And so I don't think, funny enough, I don't even think that I wanted the death penalty because I felt like that was too easy. Like I almost rather you suffer.
Right, you took my brother. That's the easy way out.
Yeah, it's the easy way
Opposed to
out.
you gonna get in prison and you gonna suffer.
hmm
How long ago was this?
2016 that
Okay.
happened. I didn't even leave corporate until 21 though, because I ended up leaving that role. Funny enough, I begged them to like let me out of the role, and they tried to create a role in the company for me to be a coach, right? Because the crazy thing is, I got more gratification on watching other bankers sell, like
Hmm.
get a sale, than I was getting. I was no longer getting excited about what we were making. Like I got more excitement watching a new person come in that was super excited about it, and so I was like, I want to be a coach, like but in their eyes, coaches are people who can teach but not do. And for me, I was like, well, I don't really give a shit. Like, we already know that I can do. I'm telling you, oh, you're gonna have to take a huge pay cut. And I'm like, I didn't care. It wasn't about the money for me anymore. I wanted to do something I loved. So
So
they
that
would,
was coaching.
which was coaching other bankers. And so that's Coach E. Oh, you can't see it, Coach E. I go by that now. But um, I ended up having to leave the company in order to get the role that I wanted. I left and went and got experience somewhere else, and then I came back. But when I came back, I was working in a different department of the company that maybe didn't know who I was, like to the company, which made it easy to manipulate and do what they did, which essentially lied about my interview, completely manipulated the answers I gave because they didn't want to give me the role.
Mm.
The interview was actually a formality. Like, they kept asking me to go into leadership, and I kept saying no. And then they were like, well, they even offered me a certain number before I actually even interviewed. But the people that interviewed me didn't know that,
Okay.
right? So everything that they did, we ended up suing and I won, thank God. But that was psychologically one of the hardest times of my life outside of my brother, because I couldn't believe that all of my hard work had came down to me just being an intellectual Black woman in corporate America, and
It's a dangerous thing.
it's a dangerous thing.
It's a dangerous thing.
Absolutely.
It's a dangerous thing.
Dangerous, okay?
Especially one as I don't even know. I haven't even met you, been around, but I can tell the confidence level. Like your shoulders are up. You know, it ain't no retreat mode.
Yeah.
It's that. But I guess I took something out of that. Two situations in your life, but the backbone and then what got you through it was the relationship with your family, with with God and praying, and that, like you said, the elders. So I'm thinking of my grandparents. You know what I'm saying? We came up in the church. I mean, Monday to I want to say every day of the week.
Mm-hmm.
We came up. We was there doing something. I was there running around doing something not supposed to, but I was in church. So the spiritual, the prayer life and all that. Sometimes we get away from that, and then you got to get back to it. So
Absolutely.
you can definitely hear that situations that you had somebody in your corner that was pushing you and helping you through those difficult times. But the lack of confidence is not in your voice at all.
Yeah.
So
I mean, and it's so interesting because my confidence gets me in, which we'll talk about a little bit later, like in general, like it's people confuse confidence with cockiness, and it's like, no, like I've been through enough to be confident in what I'm doing. Because my confidence literally comes from God. Even when I'm not confident, I'm confident. You get what I'm saying? And so even if I'm not, I am, because I know that the only way to get what I need is that I have to be confident in it and believe in things that I can't see. One of the things that Quicken, one of their things is called an ism. They would always say, you have to believe it to see it. And I really, really, if I took nothing from them, that was one of the things I took into starting my own business. Is like it still put chills on my body that it started in my head and that trading in color became what it did. But it wouldn't have happened if I didn't go through what I went through at Quicken with the discrimination. I would still be there on my way to becoming a director or regional or something. That's where I would have been. And so, like, that's why I said, like, if all the jobs I had, that was the job that God shook up my world. I mean, I was in therapy. I was on antidepressants because I couldn't believe that it had happened to me. You hear about stuff like that all the time, right? But when you literally go through it, it's like, damn, yo, like, really? Like this happened to me? Like, I had
I
such
watch
a
it
hard
on
time.
Facebook. I see it, but this really
This
happened.
really happened to me. Like, people really out here, like, playing on us like that, you
Yeah.
know? And that realizing that I was a threat, but I couldn't see my threat. Like, that was probably where my confidence I probably took like such a huge hit because,
Like
um,
the E is like boom. Oh
yeah,
me? How did I ain't see that coming?
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah. You know what's interesting though is that even in the interview, I remember at the time my fiance at the time he was upstairs and it was a virtual interview, and funny enough, I had a business where I would teach people how to interview and do resumes and stuff like that, right? So everything about this interview just it made the lawsuit so easy because of who I people just knew me for. It just didn't make sense. But I remember the interview was so uncomfortable because I could almost feel what they were doing. It was kind of like they couldn't find everything that they asked me. I had really good answers on, so that it would get to the point where they would just say, "Okay, well then what would you do? Well then what would you do? Okay, if that didn't work, then I'm like, are these interview questions? Because that's not a job. Those aren't. You're looking
those
for.
are entrapment questions.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're looking for a reason to say like she ain't got it. No, I have it, and that's why you're trying to find a reason to say
Right.
whatever. So they completely. It was just disgusting. But I remember getting out of that interview, and I told my fiance. He said, "What the hell was that?" And I said, "Yeah, they were trying, but I'm sure I bagged it. Like still in my mind, even though I felt it, because I called my leader immediately. He was like, which was a white guy. He loved me. He was like, "How did it go, Essence?" And I'm like, I don't know. That was like one of the weirdest interviews I'd ever been in. I was like, but I'm sure I did fine because again, the interview was only supposed to be a formality. It wasn't like
Right.
it,
You already had it.
they already had it. They were literally preparing my team for me to leave. So and I had 3 or 4 different leaders that some people didn't even know me that were putting their name behind me getting the role.
Right.
That's what made it so easy.
So that's probably that was probably one of those another like, oh she thinks she all that, or she got it in the bag, or we want somebody else to get it.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you know, it's not about what you know. Sometimes, especially up there, it's all about who you know, and
hmm
they probably already had ideas about
absolutely.
what they definitely want to, who they wanted
Mhm.
to be there, and it definitely wasn't you. But
Mhm. They
it,
offered me. They tried to get me to take my job back after the lawsuit.
oh, we
And
gonna pay you, but please come
heck
back.
yeah, what?
That wasn't no money.
Look, I was like, the only way I'll come back is if I could be a part of the diversity and inclusion team because I wanted to make sure that
That didn't happen.
no one that looked like me, felt like me, or had the accolades I had ever had to feel like that was hard. It was a year long of therapy, medications. Like I struggled like
Mm,
really, really bad. And the interesting thing though is that before the interview, I had gotten into trading. Right. Let me just say this real quick. Take a step back. Um, what was it? 20 I don't know, 2016, 2017, whatever. Back when everybody was on this whole Forex thing, right? It was this whole Forex. People coming to me all the time like, Essence, look, let me show you how you can turn $6 into 60. And I'm like, respectfully, I was doing really well. That wasn't a piece. I didn't really understand.
right.
And this is like every year you got somebody different. Like I'm like, oh God. And I had the same feeling everybody else did, multi-level marketing pyramid scheme. That's what was going through my head, right? And one day, I don't know if you've ever heard of Clubhouse.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Clubhouse had just came out like in 2020, 21. And back then you had to be endorsed by somebody to
Yep.
get on Clubhouse, right? And I remember one day I went on to Clubhouse and I created an account and I was like, oh, some people were like, yeah, it could take a few weeks or a month. I was in there in an hour. Somebody had endorsed me. It happened to be a client that I helped buy a home like 6 years prior.
Mm,
That somehow the algorithms pick up. Maybe she saw that, and then immediately she let me in. And I'll never forget my best friend and I were in my room and I just went into one of the rooms and this was in 2021. I had been hearing about Forex since like 2016, 2017, but in 2021 is when I actually paid attention. And I remember I went into a room and they were talking about trading, and I accidentally clicked on something in the app, and it took me into a private room with this lady. And I hung it up. I was like, oh my God, I didn't mean to do that. But she called right back and she started talking to me about trading, right? And that's literally from that day forward, the rest was history. But I was still working for Rocket at the time. And then so another reason why I did not want to take the what do you call it? What do you call it? The position to be a leader was because I had just kind of gotten to trading and I knew that I needed time to study. So I was like, I won't really. I was an unofficial leader on my team. Like if you ask me to do something, I'll do it. But I didn't want the role because then I'll have to do it, and I
right.
know I don't have the life or the what do you call it? The balance in my life at the time to be managing a team and then managing my house at the
Right.
same time. And so I remember telling my leader, like, no, like, I just kind of picked up this thing called Forex. I just want to kind of see what it's about. And it's funny because everybody, when you first say the word Forex, they're like, okay. But he was the only person, he was a white guy. He was like, oh shit, like, Essence, you can make a shit ton of money in that. Do you know that he was the only person out of the 5 people, because the other ones were people of color,
Uh-huh.
that were like, okay. Like because to them, all they knew was the multi-level marketing scam pyramid side of it, right?
Right.
He knew that Forex was real. So he was like, Essence, I know you're gonna fucking kill it. He was like, he literally stayed on the phone with me for an hour and said, okay, so what can we do so that you can study and still take this role? So I think that it was God that was like, I remember before they called, we were supposed to find out who had the role, right? And I remember being on the phone. One thing that I really loved about Quicken is that they had these different groups for people, like the Asian community, the Black community, right? And I was in this Black focus group, and they would always talk about how everybody in leadership was like that. What do you call it? What do they call us when we're
Uh, leads.
the,
The lead.
it's like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like, okay, affirmative action. They have to check a box to
Uh,
have Black people in. It's kind of like that's like that box check person, right?
okay.
Essentially, what they were saying is that everybody in leadership were Black, but they were like people. They were
Yep.
like people where it was like you put them in that position because you expect them to fail,
Oh.
right? You're not because if they get, you don't want them to go too far. You just want to say that you gave a Black person a leadership.
Opportunity.
You gave them an opportunity, right? So it was like this conversation that we would always talk about in the group where they would be kind of pushing me to go up for the role, like, Essence, why don't you go up for the role? So I remember we were supposed to find out that Friday who got the job. Literally, the team that thought that I was coming to lead them was reaching out to me to find out when I was coming. But I still hadn't heard back from the interview people. And I remember being on the phone with this guy, Norman, shout out to him. He was like, I said, Norman, something's off. I said, I was like, I don't know what it is. I said, but something is telling me that if I don't get this role, which is crazy to even think, right? I was like, if I don't get the role, I think that's God telling me to leave,
Mm.
right? And he was like, oh, Essence, come on. Like, if you don't get it, who's going to get it? I said, I hear you, but something is just telling, like, something's off. Like, I can just feel it. We were supposed to know already. I'm like, I can just feel it. BS you not. 15 minutes later, while I'm on the phone with him, I get a call about the role. And it's my leader, Jamie, and there's this other lady on the call. To essentially let me know that I didn't get the role, right? And I said, okay. Like, can you know, like, let me know what happened. And they literally started to break down the interview.
Uh-huh.
And my leader, white guy, whole face turns red. And he said, that's not Essence. Like, the way that they answered the question, he was like, oh, because you said this and you said that. And he was like, that's, and I'm sitting there just completely like breathtaking. Like, what the hell I would have never said that.
So he knew.
He knew. Anybody that knows me, when he heard those answers, he was like, I don't know whose that is, but that's not Essence. And he was pissed because he put his name on me.
Right.
You know, like, he put his name on me. Other people had put their name on me. And I remember that day just being in so much shock. And I was just kind of like, you know what? I'm going to let y'all figure it out, but I'm not coming back until you do.
Right.
And so I took a medical leave.
Okay.
And then I got into trading. And
So let's say this.
Mhm.
Well, I had 2 questions for you. So where did the name Essence come from? Like, why did they name you Essence?
my mom says that she was reading the magazine when she went into labor. And yeah, my father wanted my name to be Evidence, which is my little brother's name. I know. Evidence like proof, yes. But evidence means something else in Nigeria.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, no, my mom was like, absolutely not. Hell no, I'm not naming her that. Because my brother Evidence is by a different woman.
Okay.
And she was like, hell no, I'm not naming my daughter Essence, or Evidence. And she named me Essence. Apparently it was she told me she had the magazine.
So it was a compromise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, And then my little brother was born like 6 years later, and he has the name Evidence.
It was gonna happen.
It was gonna happen. It's not with me.
What did it mean in Nigeria?
I don't remember. I know my dad told me. I know my brother knows.
Do your name Essence mean something in Nigeria?
Because he had no play. He had no parts in that name. That was all my mom.
She's like, well, it was a little compromise. Evidence. So we're gonna go with that.
So, I had my brother. I wish that I did get something from him, like, because even my last name was my mom's last name. Whereas my little brother my father's name was Ikechukwu Nuwasu, and my brother's name was Evidence Ikechukwu Nuwasu. And I ain't get none of it. I just got Essence coats.
Hey, can you, your brother write his name on the paper going to school? They like, what? Listen, I got a homeboy, his name is CJ, but his last name is something like that, like totally long. So when we go out to these little competitions, he black guy, right? So the homies, the homies, they white guys. So they be like, okay, his last name is Jacobs. First name is, they be like, and he be like, yeah, that's me.
That's me. Just listen.
Let's just they just chapu cool. He like, yeah, that's me. Like, he raised his hand, yeah, that's me, and everybody started laughing. Cause I was like, cause was bad. I just met him, but I know him, but I just called him CJ. And I was just like, I thought his name might have been Chris Jacobs or something like that, but it's like Kafus, yeah. And it was like, I'm like, what? Like,
the hell is that?
How your last name your first name is weirder than your last name?
Right.
Like you Kustufu Stafu Jackson? Like, what is it? That sound like, where the hell that?
But you know what's so interesting is like my father, his name was Ikechukwu, right? But in America we called him Augustine because anybody.
What's his last name?
Nuwasu.
What's his first name?
Ikechukwu.
That's what I'm saying. So you like kind of go together, not like Ikechukwu Johnson or Ikechukwu Williams.
Make it make sense.
Make it make make sense.
Make it make sense.
So with all that happening, the birth of Trading in Colors comes about. It manifests itself from all the situations and things you had. So talk to us about that.
Yeah.
Because I don't even know what 4K is or what
Forex.
It was, so that's another thing. Just touch on a little bit, but I'm assuming after all that, that's when the manifestation, the creation of Trading in Color come about. So talk about that.
Otherwise, I'd still be there. I once I had got into trading, like when I had stepped away from corporate America, one of the things that I did at Quicken a lot is I worked a shit ton of hours. Not even because I had to. I did it because I wanted to. What I do is when I learn something new, I obsess with it. So then after I'm done obsessing with it, it becomes easy. I can get it done in no time. I don't want to take forever to learn something. I just want to learn it real quick and then be able to control my time with it.
Yeah.
Okay. So after that situation, while I was going through therapy, and it kind of calmed down a little bit. I was still studying Forex. I just wasn't actually executing because trading is very psychological. And everything that I had going on, I mean, thank God I had money, but I wasn't about to be gambling it in the while my mindset, because your mindset could be a gamble no matter how much you know, right? Because it's the relationship with money, which we'll talk about. Um, but I had my first year in trading, I probably did better than a lot of people. And I always get like, well, how did you learn so fast? And it was like, well, I dedicated 60, 70. I put the same amount of time into learning it as I did when I was at corporate, in the beginning parts of learning the skill. And I remember I was on my way after my first year, I was on my way to Spain, and it's like a 10-hour flight, right? And I remember a telegram. Somebody had messaged me and was like, hey, like, at the time I wasn't Coach E, I was just Black Girls Trade too. And they were like, hey, like, can you teach me how to trade? And I was like, not right now. Like, that wasn't really my goal at the time. I was like, not right now. BS you not. A couple hours later, somebody else randomly hits me up, a white guy. Hey, like, I heard about blah, 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 like, would you be interested in teaching me how to trade? And I was like, not right now. Maybe in like next 6 months to a year, you know, third person though. It was a third person who literally to this day, love him to death. Was the pioneer, one of my first students. He came to me, said, hey, Essence, we actually know each other though. He was in the military and he lived in California, and he was selling his house to move back to Michigan. He's like, hey, I got all this money, I want to learn how to trade, blah, blah, blah. And I said, his name is Marcus. I said, Marcus, I don't know what the hell is in the water, but you're the third person to reach out to me about, like, literally in the span of just a few hours about trading. And I said, right now I'm just not ready. Verbatim, he said, what if you are ready? What if God says you are ready and you're not listening to God, right? And I said to him, I said, well, how about when I get off the plane, I'm going to enjoy my trip. When I come back, I'll let you know what happens.
So was that trip to Spain? I was gonna say, was that business or was that just?
No, it was just we were, my friend and I were just going, and we got back, and I kid you not, I sat in my office, and I said, God, like, I know how to trade, but teaching people how to trade is something totally different. There are some people who can do but can't teach. There's some people that can teach but can't do. And I was just kind of like,
That's the world I'm in.
Yeah.
It's some people that can teach and can't do,
Mhm.
and it's in our world is kind of like if you can teach and can't do. To me, your value to me is not there,
Mhm.
and that's just me in my world. Because if you can tell us how to do a drill, and this is, we could talk about this later or whatever.
Mhm.
But if you can't do the drill,
Mhm.
how much value are you to me?
Mhm.
Because you telling me something that you can't even do yourself.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like, oh, you should do this, that.
How can you tell me what's possible and you never possibly did it?
Ooh, hold on.
Absolutely.
Randy Watson.
That boy is good.
That girl, good, right? So in my world, it's kind of like if you can show me
Mhm.
and tell me,
Mhm.
you're definitely a benefit, right?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, check that off the box. I'm gonna tell everybody about what you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, he can talk it and he can walk it.
Mhm.
So that's I guess it's kind of like the saying.
Absolutely. And
So-
it was probably like 9 or 10 o'clock that morning. I said, when I literally said that to God, I said, God, like, help me out, because I don't know I don't know how to even start this.
Now, are you talk? Okay, so let's talk. This is something else.
Mhm.
Like when you saying God help me, and like some people like you're meditating, you driving, or you just open to the idea of He's there, He's present,
He's there, he's present.
and he gonna help me through it.
I definitely have times, believe it or not, where, like, we can go back to that later, like, where I have a struggle going to God. Like, it's almost like an embarrassment sometimes when I do certain stuff. I be like, damn, like, I know he knows.
It's like you at dinner or you outside or you go to dinner with your homies and you like, okay, food is here. Everybody hold hand, let's pray. And you like, that person looking at her? They over there looking at her. But grandma coming, hey, put the fork down.
Yep.
Yo, we about to pray, goddamn it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? She
Absolutely.
cussing, goddamn it, we about to pray. And then we all pray. But we out there with the homies, we like,
Let's eat.
real quick and go.
No,
You know what I'm
seriously, yeah. I tell people all the time, like, my relationship with God is so interesting because, like, it's crazy, but I have my most intimate conversations are in the shower. But I wasn't in the shower at the time. I was actually in my office, and I was literally just sitting there, and I just remember putting my hand on my head, and I was just like, okay, God, like, just tell me what to do. I BS you not. By 7 o'clock that night, I had an outline, right? I had no course or nothing. I just had an outline of what each chapter was going to be. That was it. But
My sister, read it, write it, run it.
mm,
She lives by that motto.
I like that.
Read it, write it, run it.
I like
Yeah.
that. I'm right.
Can't coin that. She got
She
it.
said, "Don't." Oh, no, I'm not going to coin it.
Look.
I'm just gonna like. I like that as a mental note, like
Right.
because like I wrote it down. Right, we had the outline, and after that, I remember crying too. It wasn't even nothing. I mean, it was something, right? It was nothing, but it was
It
something.
was energy. You
was
got to
energy.
release it.
Yeah. And so I called all 3 people or messaged them on Telegram, all the people that reached out to me on the way to Spain, and I said, "Look, just like this. This is about to be beta. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't actually know how this is gonna go, but if y'all are willing to rock out with me while I figure it out, I only charge them like $600 a head, right? And they were like, okay, like I'm down, I'll do it. And the guy Marcus, he was one of the first students. I remember what was it like? My course at the time was 12 weeks. I built out like a 12-week course, and I remember like by week 4 or 5, he had made like $12,000. And I was like, what the hell? I remember it scared me. Like, I got scared.
So let me ask you this.
Mhm.
I mean, we're going to jump around. This is what it is. How much did they start with in order, not to reach that much, but how much were they able to start with as far as?
So, believe it or not,
Was this Forex trading?
yes.
Okay.
I do all, but my course is around Forex.
So Forex is what, right quick?
Okay, yep. So Forex stands for foreign exchange.
Okay.
If you've ever left the country, you've participated in foreign exchange because you can't go to Jamaica and use U.S. dollars.
Okay.
You have to go to the exchange.
So my cousin does that.
Mhm.
My cousin does.
You go and give them $1,000. They give you whatever it's worth so that you can spend Jamaican dollars while you're there.
Right.
Whether you trade or not, that's a foreign exchange.
Okay.
In the market, that's what we're doing. We're just exchanging other currencies for other currencies.
So how do you capitalize on that?
So essentially, it depends on the value of what you're trading, right? So let's just say like USD JPY. Okay. Anybody that knows Forex is like one of the most, everybody know what the hell I'm talking about. So that's the United States dollar to the Japanese yen. That's what USD.
Yeah, it's about to be a problem here coming up shortly.
Yep. Yep.
But
So
go ahead. But go ahead. Okay,
so just
go
to keep it simple, you're essentially just exchanging the currency. Okay. When you go to Jamaica, for instance, just to keep it simple, or yen, since we're talking about UJ, let's say I go to Japan. Okay. When I go to give them $100, their money is worth less than our money by a shit ton. They actually have one of the weakest currencies there is. That's why I love to trade it. But when you go there, essentially, when you go to exchange your money, there's a rate for that.
Right.
There's a cost. By the time you leave, let's say you gave them $1,000, and let's say it was only worth $200 or something when you actually got there. When you go back, let's say that same $200 in yen, you're about to go back home. And you're like, oh, well, I can't use yen in the U.S. Let me give it back. It's not going to be $1,000. There's an exchange. There's a cost to be able to exchange that back, right? That's essentially like that middle in between that cost is essentially how we make money. It's the difference between one currency versus the other. You're exchanging one currency for the other.
So you middleman is
Essentially, yeah, absolutely. You don't actually own shit in Forex, and that's one of the hardest things for people to understand is because when you think about the stock market, you're like, oh, I own Apple, I own shares, and I can sell them. Or in the Forex market, you don't own shit. You are exchanging one currency for the other. Meaning, so when you asked the question before, like how much money does someone have to have? Like if you follow my Instagram, you legitimately saw me take $100 and I flipped it to almost $800 in 2.5 days. It's I don't want to go too deep because I don't want to overcomplicate it because it already sounds complicated.
Oh, yeah.
But the
yes.
craziest thing though, I kid you not, and I'm not even trying to toot my own horn. This is straight up from my own students. My course is very Mickey Mouse. Like my youngest student was 13, my oldest was 81. So what that told me is that age doesn't matter. It's just your focus. Do you want to learn the information or not?
Or the time.
Or the time.
Well, the 13 so the 81-year-old, they got time.
I didn't even know they were 81, by the way.
That's funny because
She's a politician.
It's funny. They don't have time. But the one impressive one is that 13-year-old because I couldn't. My son, no. My daughter, yes. But my son, nah. This is a 13-year-old boy sitting down there trying to figure that out.
And you know what's so interesting is that I did a kids program. The kids program is different from my adults program, right? Because they're kids, shorter attention span. The class ain't even as long as the adult classes were. Like I have a teenager. I know how they are. You know, my daughter wanted to kill me during class. It sucks to be the teacher. You know, your mom is the teacher. You know, so there's a certain expectation there because her father is also a trader. So. You know, she was over there getting it. She'd be at home getting it. You know, she like, well, damn. And then, but I remember the day she went to school and she said, Mom, I saw this kid. It was an Asian kid in class. She was like, I saw him trading on the computer in class. Like, I said, did you say something to him? She was like, no. Like, he's kind of.
Just sit back and watch what he's doing.
Sit back and watch. You know, just I said, listen, what you know, because kids don't talk to other kids about stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like
it ain't. It's
It's not cool.
there it is. It ain't kids. It's our kids. It's our
Facts.
culture. It's our homies.
Yes.
They don't. It ain't popping yet.
Mhm.
I think the nerd world is getting to be more certified and official in the neighborhoods. Like like the nerds is becoming more certified.
Absolutely.
I think it's getting there. It ain't there yet because the streets still I mean, they get out there, the fast money life and all that, but that world, the trading world, is to me is still the hustle world
Mhm.
in a sense because you taking one thing, you putting it into a machine or that world to see what your return is,
Mhm.
and that return can come back fast.
Mhm.
Just like you put work out there in the street, it come back. You know what I'm saying? But
Absolutely.
it may take a little longer, but it
absolutely.
is still.
I tell people too, like,
I guess that's the verbiage you talk to the youngins like,
absolutely.
hey, you could put this out and get it back. You know what I'm saying? Come back and
our
re-up.
examples were literally like me asking them what was the last thing you bought, and then I'm like, okay, well, now that you know what you know, look what you could have made if you had put that in the market, right? And we're talking like $60 allowance a month. We're not talking like I'm not talking to having the same conversations I do with them with an engineer student of mine. I'm talking to them like, okay, your parent was actually my student, so I know what he makes, but we know that you don't get that. Yeah, you're a kid. You barely get $60 a month. Okay, so what was the last thing you got? I got an Arizona tea. I got some Skittles. I got this. That's how it would go, right?
Listen, my son spent so much money on that whole DoorDash crap, and I'm like, man, listen. I'm like, he could have put money into whatever you was doing and got some money
DoorDash
back.
shit. If you,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? If you're
Right.
gonna be, but you know what? It is one of those things, right? We live in the world of instant gratification.
Oh,
The,
my
the
God.
internet doesn't. A friend of mine, literally the other day, she was like, "Essence, my ability to sit through a movie is crazy. TikTok has literally messed up my mind to where I can't. If it's longer than 15 seconds, I gotta move on. You know what I'm saying? And then you
Listen,
got kids who are just as worse.
I'm a good. I could be on TikTok for hours and be like, I just wasted my life. 2 hours looking, I'm just scrolling. But the immediate gratification is like it's not even TikTok, Instagram, all that. You post something and you looking at the phone and see how many likes you got or how much engagement, and that's just the world we live in.
Absolutely.
It just
Yeah. You know what's so interesting? I tell people all the time, my top students have been with me since I started. And I'll be honest, like when I very first got into it, right, my business is called Trading in Color, which is about people of color, right? Um, and I'm not gonna lie to you, just gonna keep it a buck. After I had ran that pilot program with those three, it was a hit, right? So now I started thinking of a name of the company. At the time, there was no name. It was just me, on the side, just teaching them how to trade. And I remember when I came up with the name of Trading in Colors, like, it's about bridging the gap because one, I already knew that there was this sour, nasty taste in our culture community's mind about Forex, not trading, just Forex in general, because they didn't even know that Forex and trading, that Forex, stocks, futures, options are all the same damn thing. They're all different asset classes. The problem that happened with Forex is that these multi-level marketing firms who are not people that look like you and I, right? They sit at look, Avon, for instance, that's a multi-level marketing company, right? But most of their sales reps are actually using the product. They know what the product is, things like that. In the foreign exchange world, what was happening is that you had so-and-so like, hey, quit your job. Like, we about to run up a bag. Like, come to Forex. And you had to bring your mom, your cousin, your auntie, and bring all these people up. And then you found out that, wait, but I thought y'all said we were going to learn how to trade. I thought it was Forex. So then our community started associating that multi-level marketing pyramid to what Forex was.
So how do you break? First of all, how do you break our mindset of being the enslaved mindset of being? Let me let off this couple of dollars to see what because you put your money in the bank.
Trash.
That savings is trash, right? It ain't. It
0.000001.
keep going, right? Whatever it is, right? How you get us to understand, like, hey, let me show you a better way. So in our world, now it probably is changing now with the generation. The kids, because they can get into more stuff. Is more information is more accessible opposed to when I came up and all that. Because when I think about trading, I'm thinking about I gotta have tens of thousands of dollars to jump in to see something that's meaningful. But how do you in our culture, in our neighborhoods, and with the blocks we was walking on, how do you get them to buy into what you trying, what
well,
you're
one,
selling?
you got to get comfortable with people that look like you trying to teach, bringing you information, because I think that sometimes like people will go to a white man that's dressed up in a suit in a brand new Lexus because he said it, then it's got to be right, right? But me that looks just like you It's
They
like,
don't want you to. That's that. I don't want you to win
yep,
mentality.
I
a
want
little
you to
bit.
do well, but not better than me. Right. And so when, I remember when I first got connected with New Era Detroit, it was because one of their students one of the girls in the organization was a student of mine. And that's how I got wrapped up into New Era Detroit. And I remember her just like, Essence, like, can you please like come out and, and even then, right, I knew that my audience was people of color, but I also knew that that audience wasn't ready for that because I had been doing this long enough to know. Oh, just to go back to my point, I'm gonna come back to what you're saying. In the beginning, when I took those first few people, my next class was like 20 people, right? I had like 20 something people. Every 12 weeks I would run a new cohort essentially, right? But what I started to find out is that that's when I started learning about the relationship that we had with money, right? Even though I knew, you know what I'm saying? But the more and more, because here's the thing about trading, I'm gonna be a student for the rest of my life, right? So even in the business of teaching other people, I was learning, like, hold up, like, I got to rechange my audience a little bit. Like I do want it to be people of color, but it's got to be people that are ready. It can't be people who are, I have to convince you that you believe in, or I have to convince you that it's real, or I have to convince you that you deserve it, right?
Well, let me say this: you go to the liquor store, the gas station. They Forex trading. They buying that lotto on them 4 digits.
Man, what?
They buying that 4 digit is on a white piece of paper and it's a bunch of damn numbers and they spending $60, $70, $100 a day, midday, whatever. They in there hustling. And I'm while you saying, I'm thinking like, well, what if they took that same energy?
But look, not only that, right? This is what I tell people. You want to question me, but did you question the guy that you got your 401k with? Ask him when he gonna retire.
No.
He's gonna retire at 45.
Because when you sign up for a job, he sit right there and tell you this is what you sign your money over to. You're like, okay, it's safe.
See, listen, when I was a banker, right, they had, I forget the name of the company, but they would have them come in and talk to us because we were making a lot of money and they just wanted us to be careful with it, right? And I'll never forget, I sat down with a guy, I think it was like National Mutual or some shit, I don't remember, but it was an investment company, and he said, oh, okay, we're going to put you at a target date of 2055. I said, I can't even think about the next 30 days doing what I'm doing 'cause in my head, right? I didn't say this out loud, but I'm like, there's no way in hell I'm going to be doing this until 2055. And then I started doing my research and start realizing that these targets that they create for the 401k is all based off of an algorithm as well, right? It's based off of the life expectancy. It's based off of my generation. 2055 is based off of my age group, right? My life expectancy, me being a black woman, there's so many different factors that was going into that. But I want to know why you retiring at 45 and I got to wait till 2055. You know why? Because he knows exactly where to put his money and his investments to make sure. And as long as I work until I'm 65, he's good because he's paid off of my book of business. As long as, but that's the thing I tell people, like, you're questioning me, but you're not questioning your 401k. Look at what happened in 2008. Okay, you want to call it a gamble? That was a gamble too. How many people in their 60s and 70s had to go to Walmart after just retiring?
Yeah, I was looking at mine like, oh, let me take a little bit. I'll do something with it because I'm about to lose it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's funny. Well, not even in your world, but in my other homeboys' world, like we always count each other pockets. Like just because you pull up in a truck or Escalade truck and you about to tell me to invest with you and I don't have it. I don't want you to, you know what I'm saying? But they don't know the struggle, how much, they don't know you went through hell at your job. You didn't want to do it no more. They don't know that you lost your dad. They don't know you lost your brother at a young age. They don't know what you had to go through.
They don't know the cost.
They don't know the cost. And not to say it was a bad cost, but it was just the cost will put you where you need to be now. I'm trying to help you get there. Don't look like my homeboy. He said, look, I got to go get my work truck to go do something, to go give an estimate on this remodel of this home, because if I pull up in my other car, they ain't gonna take me. So I got to pull up in a lesser looking, you know what I'm saying, situation because you got to trick their mind to thinking like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you about to get all this to do this? No, not really. I got to pay my employees. I got to pay for this. I got to pay for that. No, it's not like that.
It's so interesting you say that because I remember when I first had gotten to like the business side of trading, right? Like I told you, like having my face out there was just kind of like, I just didn't want to do it. I wanted.
It was a great. I was like, man, this shit dope. What is she talking about?
I appreciate it. It's just there's a lot of haters in our community too, and I think that people will not buy from you just because it's you, not because they don't give a damn how good your product is. If they think that you are going to get further than they are, they're just not going to they simply just won't support it.
You know, it's funny when you on YouTube, you see this is how I made $1 million or something. And on a faceless YouTube page, and I was like, "Dog, that was probably the smartest idea because
Hmm.
If Faceless YouTube page did whatever they did, but you thinking like why? Because people just was tuned in like, who is this guy?
Hmm.
They couldn't see him, and it was just something they.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah, absolutely. And I remember when I had very first when because I run advertisements. That's how I get a majority of my business now. It's literally an application process. Like I don't take you just because you have the money anymore. Because the truth is that I've made my tuition in a day often. So why would I? But I have to be committed to you for a year for what I can make in a day. But I can't convince you to get up off your ass and study for an hour this week. Just an hour. Just an hour. Why would I do that? Because then when you don't see the result, now this is what I'll say because God is so good. I've never had one single student that fell off that blamed the course. They always took ownership. They always took responsibility.
well, and and another thing I was gonna say, it's time, I want you to pop your shit a little bit,
Mhm.
like tell me, what I'm saying, like they want to hear like the people that started with you, like they making
Mhm.
some nice bread.
Yeah. They do
They-
really well. Yeah. One of them is we have this thing. I'm trying to get him what's called funded, which essentially means that you prove to a firm that you know how to trade, and the firm will give you capital. I'm a funded trader, so I don't really trade my own money a whole lot.
Whew, you use their
I
money.
use their money to trade.
Use
That's
this.
how the rich get rich by using other people's money to do it. And that's what I be trying to tell people. Like, so my goal for this particular guy, he's actually from Ghana, but he lives in New York. He wants us to go to Ghana because he wants us to like teach it to the kids there and things like that. So I always tell him, okay, once you become funded, because once you become funded, that means that not only do you know how to trade, you have the discipline, right, and the right mindset.
So what's the ratio to get funded? Like, is it quotas you gotta? Is it goals or percentages you gotta meet?
Yes. So let's say, for instance, let's say it's a $50,000 account, right? The broker will essentially say, look, your goal is to make $5,000, which is 10%. Well, you have to make $5,000, but you can't lose more than $2,500 a day trying to get it, right? Um, and then you can't trade, for instance, when news comes out because everybody knows that it's people manipulate using the news to make money because you can. If you understand the fundamentals, you can make bank off of understanding what's going on in politics right now, like so much money, right? So, but because the firms know that, they make it a rule where you can't trade when there's news. It's like cheating essentially to them. So they want to see that you have that consistency. So they make you the first round because there's usually 2 rounds. The first round you have to make at least 10%, right, without losing 5%.
So is this like in the morning? I'm trading and then I'm done at noon.
Yeah, you can be. It depends on the type of trader you are. So there's scalpers, day traders, position, and swing. The difference between all of them is how long they hold it. That's the only
Okay.
difference. A scalper is in no more than like 15 minutes. A day trader is in no longer than a day.
So I'm up in my t-shirts and my summer shorts on a balcony of
Oh,
a
absolutely.
loft, and I'm trading. Boop boop. All right, babe, let's go get some.
Absolutely.
It's over.
Absolutely.
I'm in the wrong business.
Absolutely. One of my friends, like when I went to, I make her book all my flights because she's really good at. She's the only person I trust with my credit card. She's very good at getting the best deals. And I remember when we were out and I was trading US 30. So US 30 is the Dow Jones, and I wasn't even trying to make a whole lot. I like to stay in the market because it just keeps me sharp. You keep your edge, right? I don't trade all the time because the goal is not to trade every day. In the beginning you do because you're trying to learn, you're trying to figure out what that you literally become obsessed with it. I
Right.
tell people all the time, like they're very very thin. Forget the gambling. It can become an obsession. That's what makes it become gambling.
And we were talking about that a little bit. I think that's probably what I would be probably obsessed with it, looking
Mhm.
at it, watching it. But it okay. So talk about the difference in that, and like in our community, why is it? And then another point, why is it so much a financial divide between us and
There's such a financial divide between us because, for one, we're afraid of things we don't understand, right? If I literally did a live one time and I told people, I'm like, guys, I don't bite. Do you have a question? Because I literally have people who will watch the hell out of. I mean, one of the first people to watch my stories all the time, but would never. I mean, for been doing it for years, but would never ask a question. Will never say. It's because they're afraid. I already know what it is. You don't. You look at it, you're like, what the fuck is that?
why am I how well? Ain't no dumb questions, but in the world of finance, like, hey, I don't know.
What questions do you ask?
Yeah, like I guess I wouldn't be scared to ask a question.
But they are.
In that sense of
But you have to understand too. Some of my audience was still tied into that Forex scam shit. So when I originally first got into it, and then they started seeing me do stocks and options, and then it became like, oh, that looks cool. And it's like, why? Because you heard the white man say stock, and you don't hear him say Forex. The crazy thing is that Forex has been around since before slavery. The stock market is only like 400 and something years old.
Okay.
The Forex market is way older than that. It started in like this Japanese guy. I can't say his name. That's for one. I'm gonna butcher his name for sure. But it started where they were exchanging white rice and wheat and things like that. That was in a foreign exchange, but they made money off of doing
So
so.
they've been right. So it's been 4K since the beginning of time.
What Forex?
4X, 4K. See, I butchered it. 4K
It's okay.
since
Since damn near the beginning of time.
Okay.
Like it's one of the, and I tell people it's where you need the least amount of capital to make the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time. But because you don't know what it is or understand it, and so even when I have people come to me now, they're like, "Hey, like I want to learn how to trade stocks." I'm like, "No, you don't." But stocks is very it's a way more intricate, complicated style of trading. Most of my students who come in through me, like when I do like a consultation with them, I'll be like, "Hey, I'd recommend you do Forex first." I'm like, because if you don't have a lot of capital to start with, this is where you need to start.
So 4X is still around.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It ain't going. The stock market would crash.
Well,
before
I guess you
4X
said
does.
you had mentioned that people think it's a pyramid scheme.
That part of it has gone away.
Okay.
Literally, all of those firms have shut down.
Okay.
And Forex is still around because it's a real thing. It was never fake to begin with. You go to Charles Schwab or J.P. Morgan, they trade foreign exchange all the time.
So what do you think about the cryptocurrency and all that?
Yeah, I trade crypto as well.
Okay.
We invest. I more so invest in crypto. I used to trade it when I very first got into it. I used to pay my mortgage. I was trading XRP. That was all I traded.
So what? Because you said New Era wanted you to come teach trading, but they didn't get I don't think they had a. Well, I'm just saying we don't think they had a good grasp on exactly what it was and into it, because you can't teach them trading if they don't understand the education of I got to come off $1 to put in this opposed to spending $1 on Nikes or Jordans.
Yeah, I even had conversations with them, and I told them, I said, I want you to write down 10 things or 10 bad habits that you have that you spend every month. Because we can start with the shoes in the room. We can start with the guy that walked in with the Gucci belt, but he busted his way there.
Well, I'm going to say this. I buy firearms. And I buy bullets. Bullets is a material.
Okay.
So it's brass, it's projectiles, it's powder. So it can go up and it can go down.
Absolutely.
So, I just, my one homie said, "Hey, do you have any firearms in your safe that don't depreciate, that, go up?" I think I got 2. He may have 2 or 3 or whatever, but it's just funny. So, I guess I'm telling my wife, look, I got ammo and guns and it's going up.
But here's the thing, though,
it's materials in
absolutely.
It's brass, it's gunpowder.
But here's the thing, even for you, right? Like I tell people, like the very first thing I started with when I started doing stocks is I went around the house and looked at everything that I owned, right? Verizon, I love Starbucks. Okay, so now Starbucks needs to start paying me, because why would I anything that you spent, even the guns, I don't know enough about guns, right? So I'm about to say something real ignorant. So let's say like this is real ignorant. Smith & Wesson, because I don't know nothing else, right?
That ain't ignorant, because I own some of those. But
okay.
So let's say, because when people listen, let's say a staccato. They use the word staccato.
Okay, if they have if they have an IPO or whatever the hell it is, whatever, if they're public, right, and they're a publicly traded company, you can go and invest in them. Period. They
may not allow them to be a publicly traded company.
Oh no.
Just because I'm just guessing, because it's a firearm company.
Oh.
It may be more material.
If I can trade copper, gold, silver, wheat, rice, why the hell can I trade
firearms,
gunpowder, if it's a thing, right? When you go into
the gunpowder, yes, but Smith & Wesson, Smith & Wesson is the finished product of it. It's like the actual gun. It's not the materials that goes into. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's like a company. It would be like it's the company.
You about to make me look it up now, because I want to know if it's there.
It's the company that makes a firearm. I don't know if they can publicly trade.
Okay, what's their name?
Smith & Wesson.
Okay, about to look at Smith & Wesson. But no, I started with I went around and I looked at like.
But Starbucks. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Any company that I pay monthly, or I'm constantly using, I want to invest in it, right? So let me look at I'm about to see Smith & Wesson.
But when you say so. I got another homeboy that he's heavy in the stock market. And he'd be like, well, it's quarterly whenever they pay. Such paying me, Walmart, Google, whatever.
It's definitely public.
Oh, it is?
It can be traded, absolutely.
Brand. I'm gonna look up. Let me see. Is that Smith & I gotta look that up. Smith & Wesson brand. What information? Look, we learned something today, y'all. I'm telling you, that's why we on there. How much is it stock?
Right now, the price is at $14.90, which is really good. It's very close to it's not a penny stock. Penny stocks are typically anything that has a value of $5 or below. But $14 is not bad at all. That means that essentially if I tried to trade it, it probably wouldn't, like as an option, it wouldn't cost me a whole lot to do it. Like and when I say options, so for instance, people think like Apple. Let's say Apple was at 39, or no, it's at like 200 and something right now. Let's say or Tesla, because that's the one that that one hurt because I had to pull out for something I had to take care of for my daughter, and sucker ran up 10,000% a week later. I was pissed. But but that's just how the game goes. But let's just say like Tesla is trading at $240, or like right now it's worth $240 per share, right? Okay, how many people got 10 share or $240 times 10 just laying around? Most people don't,
Right.
right? But that's when you're trying to invest as a stock and you're just waiting for it to run up,
Right.
right? If Smith and Wesson, if you wanted to buy it as a stock, I mean, $100 times 14.90, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you could do that, but when it's an option, if I want to trade Tesla as an option, it may cost me, instead of me buying one share for $240. When you trade options, you're essentially able to control 100 shares for a reduced price.
Okay.
Okay, just keeping it simple. Okay, and the reason why I'm saying that is because people look at Apple and say, "Oh, I don't have $350 to put on." You do. That's for one. You do. You spending it on other shit. I don't have $350. You're right. You don't have $350 per share on Apple, right? But if you look at the things that we talk about, like options, it may only cost you $150 to control 100 shares. And then, like I was telling you before, if you're a day trader, you may be able to be in and out in a week and have 1,000%.
My wife was watching, and I'm gonna tell her about you. She may call you, and she
No
may have
problem.
her and my son into it.
Okay.
Cause I straight thought like, look, straight, cause she was watching this black guy, and I ain't gonna talk about. It ain't stock trapping.
The guy you asked me, Wall Street Trapper.
Wall Street Trapper. It wasn't him. It was
Okay.
another guy on there. He was a cool. I just Wall Street Trapper pop on my Instagram now because he in the algorithm now.
He pay a lot for that advertising, baby.
But
I already know.
Right, so it's cool. But he been on the Breakfast Club and all that. So
Mhm.
he out here popping.
Mm-hmm.
She was into it. She was into it and into the options and everything. Cause she still not like, oh, such and such it's dropping. Oh, I lost a lot of money because
Mm-hmm.
I jumped into it, and I think my homeboy told me to get the Doji coin or something like that.
Yep.
I got that, and then I had bought one. It was like $5 or $6, and I wish I would have put 1,000 into it because I think it split at like $27 and $28.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, dang.
Mm.
I was like, I'd have been doing straight, but I was still like reluctant
Mm-hmm.
to put money in.
Mhm.
And my son was like, look, because he in college now. He was like, hey, I got to get drafted or become famous because I don't think this college is for me. So I was just,
Listen.
so this is like after I met you. I'm just like, look, I got to put him in the class.
Mhm.
He can be downstairs doing what he do. And
I
learn
love
the
that you say
game.
that because, like, even originally my audience was like, I don't know, ages like 25 to 50, 60. That lady that was 81, by the way, we didn't know she was 81 until she left. I thought she was like 60 something. She just a black woman that looked real good for her age. Okay. She was calling out plays in my community, telling us what to do. After she took the class, she did really, really well. But after I was with the adults for maybe like a year and a half, almost 2 years, I switched to the kids. God just kept telling me to go to the kids. And I waited for my daughter to turn 13 first. Because I was like, if I take any kid, she's going to be first.
Right.
Like, I want to take her. And I told her, I said, Jamie, I know right now you hate it. It's boring. It doesn't make sense to you. But baby, it's the best gift I could ever give you.
Right.
Like, damn Disney World, damn all the other stuff you've had. I could never give you a better gift than the gift of the skill. I mean, it's the most powerful skill in the world. I'm like, I tell people all the time, as long as I have $1, I'll never be broke in the market. But it's definitely important that it's the educational piece, right? It's the education is like the most important thing about it. And I remember my daughter was so embarrassed because I had these flyers and I took them up to her school. But she didn't, and she doesn't like for people to talk about me in any way, whether they're think, oh, your mom's pretty, or I think she doesn't like any type of attention in any kind of way. And I'm like, but you have to be the voice because you know that trading is real. The only way that these conversations are going to happen is with you and the kids, and they're not going to listen to me.
But peep gets though. So my son, he was to the NFTs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a start. Let's just not say. And I want you to talk about how it's be different. I'm worried about the idea of gambling and trading because I think I worry about that. Like just he see it, he eager to get into it, it run fast, and then it become more of a gamble because these kids are on FanDuel betting.
Mm-hmm.
And they getting money.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, what I'm saying, like they may look at that, but like, okay, and get into it. But and then take the concept of gambling into that world,
100%.
and it ain't gonna be, and they gonna lose.
You know, in my course, I do 2 one-on-ones. I used to do like 8 of them, but now I only do like 2 one-on-ones. The very first one is because my course is hybrid, meaning that they can either log into an app or they can go online, and I drop content every week. It may be like, but the clips are no longer than 20 minutes long. I took all the material I have been doing over the last 2 years and I chopped and screwed it and made it like 20-minute clips.
So where these are the ones this is a, so okay, so this is a program you charge for?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's it's an online platform. So what I do is like when they log in, it's a welcome video. It's me. It tells them about me, how I got started, things like that. But it's very interactive, meaning every Monday, for instance, your content for the week gets dropped. On Monday, you'll get a text message saying, "Hey, new material has been dropped. Make sure you log in and read watch the video." After they watch the video, the next thing for them to do is to then do what they saw me do in the video. Then they have to submit that to me, right? They submit it to our community, and one of our experts will review it. Essentially, is how that works. The second part, so the very first one-on-one is for me to see how you're navigating the course itself, right? Because they take quizzes and things like that too while they're in the course to test themselves as well. It's not a pass or fail. I've even had people go like, "Oh my God, the timer!" I put a timer on them on purpose because you have to have the ability to be able to make a decision in a quick second, right? I can't have you taking 30 minutes to answer the question, right? And it's not again for you to fail. It's to really train your mind to the ability to be able to make a decision because in trading, you need to be able to know how to make a decision and stick it out regardless of the outcome. You have to, right? So all of it, it's a science to all of it. The second one-on-one is.
Oh, it can't be like, oh, this don't look like it's going roller coaster. Oh, I'm off.
But that's exactly, and that's what happens. People pull out too soon, right? Do you know how many? Oh, first off, when you talked about what I lost, we didn't even talk about how much I lost. My first year as a trader, I did really well, but what I lost before I got what I got, I don't know if you want me to say the number because it'd be having people like, what the fuck?
Well, was it in the teens? It was like K's or?
Oh, most definitely.
Ooh,
But let me tell you something. I didn't have mentorship. I didn't have a me. I didn't have somebody I could go to. Like we tell everybody has to pay their tuition to the market. My tuition was just way more expensive than it should have been because I didn't have guidance. You know what I'm saying? I'm just out here trying to figure it out on my own. I didn't have somebody to say, "That's wrong, Essence. Don't do that. You should do this. Don't do that."
And it's funny. And then in our world, we kind of the same way, right? Because I spent a lot of time up at the Uncle gun store, and I'll be trying to give game and teach people that's of color, whoever, like some of the pitfalls of don't buy this, don't get this, because it's kind of like you're going to buy it and then you're going to cry about it because it's not going to work or something going to happen to it or it's not going to hold up. But why'd you buy it? Like, don't buy it because it's cheap. Buy something that's quality, that's going to, do this and that. Buy the quality stuff first. Save. This is one of the things we always say. Don't go in there and because you got $250, buy something that's $250 at a gun store. You got to bet your life on this. This is something that you're going to be using to protect your family, protect everything about you. You telling me it's worth $250? Like, if you got to save for a month or 2 months to buy something I'm telling you, that's more reliable, then save the money. Like, I'm telling you this because I've been places where I've seen things break down. I've been places where I've seen things don't work. And my homeboy say this: the moment God chooses you got to take care of what you got to take care of. The idea that thing might not work can't be. It's like it can't. It got to be 100%. So I guess what I'm saying is like save the money to invest. Right? It's something that for the long run, like save the money to invest in something that's going to work.
Absolutely.
Don't just cop out and say, "Oh, it's $250. Okay, it'll work." No, it ain't.
I'm glad you said that because I would literally have people in consultations say to me, "Well, Q Banks' course is only $750." I said, "Oh, Q Banks is a 7-figure trader. You think that he's gonna teach you how to trade for $750? Go and do it and let me know how that works out for you."
That's always. And then sometimes people don't understand that I may be giving 100% of myself opposed to
100%.
Opposed to them giving 25% of themselves, or they may hit you with.
He ain't coming at all. That's the thing. Listen, I tell people all the time, people who understand the value don't give a damn about the cost. And so anytime you get on a call with me and start talking about cost, like you're not my student anyway. That mindset to begin with. My classes used to be 20, 25 people. Do you know I will refuse to take more than 5 per quarter now? I'm not doing it. Like, I need to be able to give you the attention that you need without feeling like what I'm doing is a job. I like to do what I do because I feel good doing what I do. When I had 20 people in the room and only 2 people in the room had the right mindset, I don't give a damn about making $25,000 off of this group.
Right.
That's not no. The benefit my company does well when you do well. And I had a team of people that were there to support.
So you said that you lost a lot. But did you double back and
Most definitely.
You got more than what you lost?
Most definitely.
Okay.
Most definitely. I'm in the process of trying to sell my house right now because I put a shit ton of money into it last year when I was trading. And with the rates and how everything is going right now, like it's an investment. Like I made I took that money and put it into another investment, which was my home.
Right.
And now I'm able to now take that money and go be able, you know what I'm saying? It's not, and even for them too, I tell them all the time, the reason why people gamble is because everybody wants to quit their job and be a full-time trader. Any successful trader will tell you that that's not our only source of income. It's not.
Right.
That's why I'm also doing insurance. I also have another business that I'm getting ready to start. I did resume writing in the past. I just hated it. I didn't like it as much as I thought I would,
Right.
But you have to have, because if you try, for instance, I tell them all the time, I don't want you to just come here and make the money. I want to show you what to do with the money after you make it. Because the problem in our community is that if you see that you made $1,000 in 30 minutes, your ass is going to take that $1,000 and run to the nearest Nike store and run it down.
It ain't.
Instead of taking that $1,000 and now you have the money to go buy Apple, right? And run Apple up for 10,000% in 6 months. But you looking for something right now, and that's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, or take 5 and go spend something. Like, just treat yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Treat yourself, but don't take 1,000 that you made and go flip or
Reinvest it.
Reinvest it. Take 500 and go, do what you got to do,
Absolutely.
or go buy if you can make enough money, go buy the Louis or whatever you're gonna buy that looks.
What did Jay-Z say? If you can't buy it, how many times? 5 or 10 times, you shouldn't be buying it. If I go, like, for instance, I've never, ever, ever, by the grace of God, I've always done well in corporate, but I've never been materialistic, ever. Never, ever, ever have a nice house, a nice car, and I like to travel. Everything else is stupid to me. I don't understand. I think a Gucci belt looks nice? Yeah. But I'd rather go invest in Goldman Sachs and be able to,
I think it's levels to it.
It is.
I think it's experiences are way out more than a material thing.
Mm-hmm.
Some material things are nice, like I said. Like you pay for the thing not to tear or break down, or so I get it. Like, but over a Birkin bag for 30,000-40,000 or whatever it is.
Crazy talk.
That's crazy to me.
Crazy. Because you know how much it took them to make that shit? You'd be upset.
Right, but I guess I'm not in that tax bracket where making billions or $100 million dollars be like, okay, that's just a.
But you asked the question before about the gap between us and them. Even at that level, as a millionaire, they still ain't doing that. That's us.
True.
They're still. My uncle owns a pharmaceutical company in Japan. Okay, literally, I remember we were kids. Yeah.
What?
My uncle, he owns a pharmaceutical company in Japan.
That's
okay.
The crazy part is that he owns a pharmaceutical in Japan.
Yeah. It's like sourced from Japan. He works in Texas, but the pharmaceutical.
Okay, so it's made there.
Japan.
Okay.
Yeah, he lives in Texas though.
Okay.
But you didn't threw me off, KJ. Why did I say that?
We were talking about the millionaires not buying.
Oh yeah, when we were kids, I remember when we would go and visit him. He lived in Jersey at the time, and my cousins, they were always in, the most basic stuff. Like it looked like it's like they didn't even know that to them it was like it was normal. Like they didn't know that there was this bouginess or this Gucci this or this. That wasn't a thing. They have a beautiful home. They've been all over the world. They know how to play the piano. I want to buy my kids experiences, not things. Whenever we would go see them, they were always like in the, the nicest Kohl's outfit.
I would tell my son, my son he a handsome young man. I was like, bro, you can go get you some Nike Air Force Ones or Nike Air Max, this, that, and the third, throw a fit on. You gonna get them regardless of where you at, right? You don't have to go get the $300, this or this, that, and the third. I said, bro, you are who you are. It means more than what you got. You know what I'm saying? What you got on don't make you. You make the fit. I said.
But how do we get our culture to understand that though, KJ? Because
you can't, because on Facebook, Instagram, on every damn video they popping. They got with the money phones. You know what I'm saying?
You know why? That's your responsibility to remove the noise. Like, I get asked all the time, do you know this person and that trader and that trader? The reason why trading in color is going into its 3rd year is because I don't follow other traders. Comparison is a thief of all joy. Why would I poison my mind by having this? I know Wall Street Trapper, right? First off, he's been trading double the time that I've been trading. I know for a fact I'm going to be where he is. I don't need to watch him. I know what he does. I know I'm gonna get there. But why would I mess with my mental? The fact that I'm not there yet. It's a compound. It's all about taking the time to actually get there,
Right.
right? And or even the shade room. I don't follow that shit. It's all your diet is what you eat, what you drink, what you watch, what you listen to, and what the hell you're following on social media. I'm the trader I am because I protect my mind.
Hey, I just found out that Smith and Wesson, it's traded. Did you know that? Why you didn't tell me that? We could have been. Hell, no, I did not. I did not. I'm over here talking about how we got investments and we got materials because we got brass and copper. She's like, well, let me look this up. Boo, boo, boo. Oh yeah, it's Smith and Wesson brand. I said, well, ain't that some shit? It's $14, bro.
$14.60.
Right, I got $30. I'm gonna grab me 2 shares.
Go grab you 2 shares.
Mm-hmm. Oh, did you? So look, since you
Look, I was looking at it. Let's look at about.
So let me ask you this. So what's the weirdest thing somebody say, look, I want to trade in this or grab that or like a stock or brand or company or somebody asks you like, let's go get this. You like, oh, that's a little weird. I ain't think that was popping.
Well, that doesn't necessarily happen. I more so get asked, what do you think I should, invest in? That's more so the question I get. And I tell people all the time, like, start with the things in your house. Don't start with what I got going on because, are you even paying attention to Verizon and you got T-Mobile? Why are you investing in Verizon? Look at T-Mobile. What the hell do they got going on? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I want you to start with the things that you're already using. My Starbucks pays for itself. I get dividends. So why would I'm not going to be using my money to go and buy these things. These are multi-million-dollar companies.
But you don't get dividends until you make a certain, you get to a certain.
No, you get dividends whenever their dividends pay out.
Regardless of the percentage of stock you have in it?
Correct.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if you only got $1, I mean, you're only gonna get a percentage of what it's all a percentage game. But it's
it costs more to mail me my check than I got percentage in the company.
No, okay, but believe it or not, they're not even as expensive. If you think, for instance, Weight Watchers, Oprah has stepped down, for all that BS that was going on with her, or you know what? Scratch the Oprah thing, Diddy. When everybody was all caught up in the Diddy mess, the very first thing that me and my team did is we went to Revolt on the market. We wanted to see what did Revolt do. Because what ended up happening is when he stepped down, they sold all the shares to the employees, right? So I wanted to go and see, well, what the hell? Okay, while y'all looking at that, I'm about to go see where it is in the market so I can see if I can put some money in it. Because, of course, it tanked first, right? When you are in the market, you want to buy low. You're waiting for things. Even like when Bitcoin, when things fall, people panic and start taking their money out. No, baby. When things go down is when you start looking to buy. You want to buy things that are on sale. You don't get in Bitcoin when it's going up. That's stupid.
Right.
You get in Bitcoin when it's down, right? Or whenever, but anything that goes up must come down on any type of interval level, every day, every minute, every second, right? That's the reason why there's a difference between a day trader, a scalper, a swing trader, and a position trader. Mm-hmm. It depends on what are the intervals in which you're actually looking at. Right now, I guarantee, well, it's Sunday, but if let's say it was Monday, Apple, just in the 10 minutes we've been here, would have changed price probably 150 times. You know what I'm saying? A day trader or a scalper probably caught that little bit of movement. Whereas if I'm a swing trader, I may be looking for the movements it makes over the next few days, not in the next few minutes. Okay. That's it.
Well, yeah, I get that. So is that one of those myths in the game that people always like? What's a myth in the trading world?
That you need a lot of money to invest. I think that's the biggest myth, and I think that's why our community don't do it. They think that I have a friend of mine. I can't wait for her to watch this. I'm gonna send it to her because she knows how I feel about it. She had some really good businesses, but she wanted to start this a planner, right? And she sent the prototype to me. She said, hey, like, I just want you to take a look at it. I said, okay. It had checking, it had savings, it had, plan your day here, do the blah, blah. And I said, well, where's the section for investing? There's no option here for investing. And she said, well, girl, ain't nobody got money for that. I said, wait a minute. You said that this was for us. How dare you tell them that saving is what we should be doing? That's not what we should be doing. You are hurting your community by telling them to save. Yeah, you want to save something, but that investing should have been on that list. And I remember her she just was like, what? I said, the reason why you won't put it there is because you think you need a lot of money to do it. That's why you don't do it. I know every person that comes to me, how much money do I need to start trading, right? I get to ask that question all the time. And I'm always like, I want you to start with the education first, right? Invest in the education first. Because people say to me all the time, why don't you, go online and do, like, in order to make my following bigger, right? And I tell people, I know how to get my following bigger. I need the capacity. I'm not trying to ruin my reputation by taking off too fast.
Right.
I don't want that. I don't have the capacity to be dealing with everybody and all these. You know what I'm saying? Like, right now I have the control that I want in my business. I'm not trying to give
where
myself
you want to
another
be.
job.
You don't want to saturate it or
Yeah,
spin yourself too thin and can't
it can't
get the feedback because you said before that the people that's in your
community.
not the community the people that you work with
Hmm.
is your best marketing tool because they never had nothing bad to say about the
Hmm.
company.
Absolutely.
It's more of them not putting in the time and the effort to gain, but they ain't got nothing to say bad about what you provided them. So
I've literally had people fall out and refer other people. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, I know she can do it. I know that I had one student tell me, Essence, I can't stay off of social media. You know what I'm saying? We have our one-on-one and you're supposed to have homework. If you don't do the homework, I cancel your one-on-one. I don't have time. I put the time in. You paid to be here. I showed up. I'm only going to show up as long as you show up. But if your homework is not in within 24 hours of our one-on-one, what the hell are we talking about? I don't have an hour to just sit and kick it with you. I want to talk about did you do the work? Right? And one time she showed up, she said, Essence, please don't be mad at me. Like, she sent me her father-in-law, her best friend. Her best friend is great. The father-in-law, not everybody, just like in college, every student and teacher is not a match.
right.
So
Right.
it's been a journey, and I absolutely
I'm
love
like, ooh, homework. Ah,
absolutely. And you know what's crazy? Probably take you 30 minutes or less.
right.
Right? But are we And I remember one person was like, there was an assignment that I had given out or whatever, and it was just around mindset. It had nothing to do with the actual course itself. Not doing it told me everything I needed to know, right? And then I also have like a mini course. It's free, right? You got 5 days to do it. Like some people will come to me, I'm like, okay, take this first.
Right.
You got 5 days to do it. It's a timer on there. If you don't finish it within 5 days, you lose it forever, right? Guess how long it should actually take you to do it?
Probably what, a day?
An hour, right? Takes you an hour. If you can't get this done in 5 days,
Right.
and it's only an hour worth of material, I don't want you as a student. I don't have time for that.
Right. So that means you're not even about to be involved in it in the first place.
No, and I'm sorry. I don't care you have the money.
Right.
What I realize about my time is you
Worth
can't
more.
put $1 on my time.
Right. Yeah. We
Doesn't matter.
talk about that all the time. I'm glad you got back, Bear, so you can tell me how to end this thing so I don't mess it up. so Essence, tell the people where they can find you at, like your social media handles, the website, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so you can find me. Well, my website is tradingincolor.com. It's currently under construction. We took it down a couple days ago because we're working on a new project. However, you can follow us on Instagram at trading_in_color.
Which one is that? Because it was
The
two of them.
business page.
Is that the one with you on it?
They both got me on it. The Black Girls Trade 2 is my personal page. That's where I get a little ratchet, and it ain't nobody's business,
Is that the one of them don't have a picture of you on it, and the other one did?
Oh, it's the one that doesn't have the picture of me. It's the profile picture.
Okay.
The profile picture is like my trading audit breakthrough, which is for people who've been trading for years, but they just need there's something missing in their trading strategy. That's
Okay.
what the picture is.
Okay, well, just give them.
but
Give them all of them in the text me too.
You got it.
Text me.
Trading in color. You will, as the picture. I mean, you'll see me when you click on it. I'm in the videos. On my business page. My personal page is Black Girls Trade 2. And then my website is tradingincolor.com. We are currently getting ready for a boot camp, a 8-week gold boot camp where we're teaching people how to trade gold. That's the project that we're working on right now. Because what you're going to learn really quick, and I'll say this and wrap it up, is that one of the biggest issues people have in trading is that they are trying to trade too many things at once. I told you when I first got into trading, XRP paid my bills. That's the truth. I wasn't in everything.
Right.
One asset, or now US 30, which is the Dow Jones, that's all I trade. I don't trade anything else, right? But gold is it's a commodity, and it's a very common asset that a lot of people trade. And the reason why I'm doing the boot camp is because you can trade gold in stocks, options, futures, and Forex.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter where you're coming from. What I'm teaching is applicable to every financial market.
So what's the starter package look like?
Ain't no starter package. No, I'm just kidding. I have a mini course. It's like an introduction to Forex. That one's actually free for the summer.
Okay.
You just have to use code FREESUMMER24.
There it is.
The link is in the bio on the Instagram page. Yep, FREESUMMER24 in order to get it for free. And that is the one that we just talked about, the 5-day.
Okay. So that's kind of like weeding the people out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it's also an application that you can take without an application. But if you want to do the course, there is an application because depending on how you answer the questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So look, that's it. She gonna give me the information. I know. and I'm gonna put it up, post it, and especially in our description. But I want you to be a part of the Pop Culture Podcast. Like anytime you got something going on with education, we got to figure something out because I think the more information that's out there, even with the mini courses, like the little 20-minute mini courses that you do, like they can go in there and pay for it and get it and all that. So we're gonna talk off to the air.
Absolutely.
Definitely about that because I think what you're doing is wonderful, especially in the community, trying to help us get better. Passing it down. I want my son to get involved. I want my wife to get involved so we can, get this wealth going.
I'm gonna tell you right now, the only way to close the wealth gap is that every single Black household, at least one person has to know how to trade. At least one, like just one, just one person. In order to close that gap, because you're talking hundreds of years of us. The reason why they have old money is from the market, and it's the very thing that we're afraid to touch.
Old money.
The old money in Grosse Pointe, that's from the market.
So look, that's it from us. Game recognize game. We recognize you, so please recognize us. And we are out.
Thank you.
Peace.